Hey you guys, welcome to Erikavision. We are excited today because we have a guest.
Hi!
Hey, tell them about you. What's your name?
Hello.
And tell them your name, your baby's name, your fur baby's name.
So this is Little One. That's not her real name. Her real name is Taja, but I call her Little One a lot. And then I'm Sarah, but I have a YouTube channel also, and my YouTube channel is Wandering Jeepsy. That's Jeepsy. So Jeepsy.
Aren't you a clever little chickadee?
Yep,
That
right?
is so
That
awesome.
took me forever to come up with that too.
But you nailed it. It sounds awesome. So you guys, we're going to get started with this video now. Okay, you guys, this is one of the best parts of camping, period, but RVing. You get to meet other people who have decided to make a different life choice than the 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, get up, hook up to the machine, plan a vacation, drive 8 hours, sit at the beach, turn around, go back to work, and hope you can do it again if you can get the time off. We have decided a new way of living, and it is so exciting to hear your story of how you got started or what it is that kind of pointed you in that direction, because I know why I got started, right? Because a lot of my viewers know that we've been doing this going on 2 years.
Okay,
and
me
I
too.
had almost a nervous breakdown.
Oh, goodness.
I suffer from anxiety and panic attacks pretty bad, and with that curve comes depression, because all of it is like snowballs. And so I got to a point to where I felt like it's just time to do something else, right? I'm young enough that if I want to go back to the workforce, I can, but right now, for sanity's sake, I got to do something else. And my kids are all grown, and I think that was another part too to that. I didn't prepare myself for them to leave home. So all of a sudden there was quiet and no laughter, no the kids' friends. You know, you were always known as the boy's mom or Eb's mom. And so for the first time in my life, I was Erika. I was childless because I wasn't an everyday mom anymore. And I was dealing with some emotions that I couldn't put my finger on it, but I knew that it was time to make some changes. So here we are, 2 years later. Do I still have panic attacks? Absolutely, not as frequent, but I've learned to kind of cope and do things with that. So it's always nice when you get a chance to meet other people and hear their reasoning behind why they got started, if they love it, if they hate it, things they've learned, things they wouldn't do again, things they would do again. And I'm just excited to hear you. So drum roll, please.
Well, let's see. Mine is sort of a similar story also. I've been doing this for in 1 month it'll be 2 years actually. Hey, no ma'am. So yeah, it's been 2 years. When I first started, I have a Jeep. If you guys couldn't have guessed that, by the way. So I have a Jeep, and I started traveling, actually towing a 16-foot travel trailer behind my Jeep. Well, for the last 9 months, I've decided to just build out the inside of my Jeep. I have a bed in there, I have a fridge in there, I have solar panels, solar generators, a portable toilet, a portable shower. I'm pretty self-contained in that Jeep over there.
And the crazy part is, you guys, if you see the Jeep, nowhere in your imagination would you believe all that is taking place in there.
Yeah.
It is so cool. And I think everybody thinks, oh my goodness, I couldn't do that. I just couldn't do that. And I remember when we first got started, one of the things that was an issue was everybody kept saying, I just don't know if I can get rid of my stuff. You know, you collect stuff and you become attached to it.
Oh, yeah.
So to know that you've kind of condensed your life down to it.
I had to downsize twice.
Oh my goodness.
Well, because when I left to start traveling, my house that I had in Vegas, I had to downsize for everything to fit inside my travel trailer.
True.
And
so, true.
So I pretty much sold everything. I was like, everything that I'm going to own is going to go in this travel trailer. And then when I decided to live in my Jeep, I had to do the same thing. I had to downsize from my trailer to my Jeep.
That is so.
And I refused to get a storage unit because I didn't want that payment. And, you know, my thing is everything is materialistic. You know, so what's in my Jeep and everything that I own is stuff that I just need for my travels.
That is so true. I remember that journey when we first got the first trailer that we had. We had a small business, and that carried its own items, and then just the house, period. You know, I remember the weekend making like 20 trips to Goodwill, giving away stuff, and still feeling like I had too much still, right? And so I totally get that. I totally get that. And then you realize once you get started with the process, it becomes easier because you realize you don't need as much, and you're trading the stuff for adventure. And so once you can change your mind into thinking, okay, by getting rid of these things, I'm moving into another phase, and it's going to come with its own, you know, backstory, then it becomes a little easier. But I got that a lot from my friends, especially kind of packing up and taking off. Nobody could really understand the thought process behind it. Behind that. So then you condense things down. You got in your Jeep. Tell me some of the places you've been. What have you seen? So real quick,
I want to so you just said something about depression, anxiety, and so on and forth. So that's a similar reason of why I started traveling and everything too. So my whole entire life since I was a little kid, I've always dealt with depression. Always. I grew up in the foster care system from 3 years old till 17 years old. I had a rough life in my 20s and so on forth. And then when I was in Vegas, I had some tragic stuff happen in Vegas. I don't know if you want me to say that on your channel because it's kind of like a trigger thing for some people. So my way, the reason why I started to go travel is because I went to Sedona one time with a bunch of other Jeep people for a Jeep event. And I met this lady out there that was traveling by herself in her 4Runner, and we just started talking. And so her story was similar. She had gone through something that I had gone through, and it was almost like it was meant to be that I met her. And so she loves nature, she loves traveling, so she decided to just pick everything up and just go travel by herself. And I was like, okay, this might be a sign here. You know, like she just went through a similar thing that I did. Maybe this is a sign. I had a 10-year career, a great career in Vegas. I go back and I just start planning this all out. And I was like, I'm going to give it a shot.
We were dreaming about that when the boys were younger, about RVing. And it just seems so out of reach, right? Because, you know, we do it, and people think it's easy. You know, you make it look easy, and truthfully, we do talk about the good parts about it, right? But it can be expensive. It can get expensive because you are responsible for everything that can go wrong, and, you know, your whereabouts and so on. So it was one of those things that we always felt like was out of reach. And then how all of it came about was like spur of the moment, almost crazy. Even though we had been talking about it for a few years, I had just got to the point to where I wasn't functioning anymore, right? I was in and out of the emergency room. I literally felt like I was always on the verge of having a heart attack. But it was the panic attacks, right? When your shoulders are seizing up and your neck is hurting and your arm is hurting and you can't focus, and then the tears start and you're not sure why. And so I worked for federal service. I worked for the federal government. I had a great job. I had just took a promotion, and I went into my boss' office. I remember it. I was contemplating, and it was like days at a time. I would leave my office and I would go outside, and I'd be outside and I'd just be crying, and I would call my mom, and I'm like, I can't do this anymore. You know, I'm just so overwhelmed. And she would pray with me and, you know, and try to give me the courage I need to just kind of finish the day. And I went into my boss's office and I told her, I am not well. And she was like, well, take a few days off, you know, whatever you need. And I was like, no, I'm not well. I'm struggling mentally. I can't focus at work. I'm always, taking time off. I just need a break. And I said, I'm gonna resign. And she said, are you serious? And I said, yeah. And she was like, Erika, just take a few days. And I was like, no, I gotta do something different for my own sanity's sake. I gotta make some other choices. So long story short, we went to an RV show, and I'm piggybacking off of what you're saying. You meet people or you do things and things just start falling into place. So we went there, and we found this little small camper, and it was like a good starter camper. And the guy was like, well, it's on sale, we could try and see. And came back, approved for the camper. And I was like, okay, well, this is really happening. So we bought one there. And then we bought the camper before we got the truck. And I was looking for the truck, and I walked into a dealership, and I told the guy, I want this truck at this price. And he was like, ma'am, he was talking to me as almost as if it was a suggested price, right? Ma'am, we'll see what we can do. And then he came back and he said, this is the first time this ever happened. I can do that deal for that price on that truck with that payment.
Oh, wow. And
I was like, awesome. Right? So everything started falling into place. We took our youngest two and got them an apartment. So we had the luxury of kind of giving them a lot of things we had in our apartment to help them start theirs. So we didn't, And so as we start preparing, the stress kind of released, but then it was a different kind of stress. Will we have enough money? Will we be able to make it to where we're going and this and that? And so 2 years in, I can tell you my mental health has improved leaps and bounds, right?
Yes.
I even lost like 30 pounds the first year out. And it's this. It's being outside. It's not stuck at your desk. It's taking walks. It's hikes. It's the air. It's the environment. It's living on camp time where it's a little slower pace. Yeah. Where you can kind of actually enjoy breath, life, the environment, people. I have met some people who have become like dear friends of mine that we keep up with each other. And the camping community, van community, RV community, once you get in it, it's a community, right?
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of times people are like, well, what do you guys do for safety? Do you carry firearms and stuff like that? There are like rules that you follow, right? You do things to protect yourself, and it's nobody's business what you use or what you carry or anything like that. But most of the time, nobody's out here looking to harm you on purpose, right? They're trying to relax like I'm trying to relax, like you're trying to relax, and everybody's out here looking for something, and just like the couple that passed by saying, and they were, I'm sure in their 60s, early 60s, we wish we could do what you guys do. It's like, why not? Life is, COVID, if it taught us anything, it taught us life is short. And sometimes you have to prioritize.
Oh, yeah.
And working till you're dead is just not it. And I understand everybody can't do this, and it's not for everybody, but
you got to find what you're passionate about and what you like, and then do it.
Exactly.
But yes, this traveling and being around nature and camping full time and stuff, it isn't for everyone.
No.
But I mean, if you like dancing, go find something to do with dancing. If you like drawing, get out there, go sit in front of a mountain, draw it, or sit in front of a person and draw them, or
it's therapeutic. It does have a therapeutic. I was watching a commercial for anxiety and depression, and one of the things that I laughed about was they were like, take the medicine, and then everything they showed was outside. Yeah. Like, go for a walk, go skating, go be around people, go do stuff. That's funny. It's like, take the medication, but they were giving you the real answer outside of that. It's like, be around people, go outside. Yeah. It's therapy and being in nature and being at the beach and sitting on the sand and just listening to the waves and kind of giving yourself that release.
I'm going to tell you, before I started traveling, I was dealing with depression on a daily basis. And I was the boss where I worked at, my career that I had for 10 years. I was the GM there. And so I would engulf myself into work. I was working like 7 days a week. I would be there for like 12 hours sometimes.
That's
just
a
to
long
keep
day.
me busy.
Yeah.
And because I didn't want to go home and be by myself, because then my depression would just, kick in and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, ever since I've started this, I just started working on myself, making myself happy, trying to rediscover myself. And I think now I may deal with depression maybe once every 2 months now,
And
and
you know
that's
what?
pretty good.
Doing this, you do discover some things about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Especially since I've hit 40, I have learned a lot about myself, right? I learned what my triggers are.
Mm-hmm.
I know my limitations. I've just learned things about myself. And I love that you say that, that it's like, okay, now it's time to kind of figure those things out and then minimize that within your daily life. And it's something freeing about doing it. It's something freeing about being out here and doing this. And I want
It's
to hear.
peaceful.
Yes. Tell me one of the places that you've been that you've absolutely loved.
So it's funny, when I was looking at your channel earlier, I see that you guys just came from there. My 2 favorite states, and so far I've done 29 states. My 2 favorite states so far have been Utah and South Dakota.
I love
South
Utah.
Dakota.
Utah is my favorite.
Yeah, and Utah, yes.
Utah. People sleep on Utah.
Uh-huh.
But it is beautiful.
Absolutely
One of the
beautiful.
things I love
Absolutely
is you
beautiful.
get lush on one side and desert on the other.
Yeah.
And it has all these national parks here, and none of them are carbon copy.
Mm-hmm.
You go to Zion and it's like, every corner is so majestic and so beautiful, and it has its own activities and its own view. And then you go to Bryce and the Hoodoos, and it has its own thing.
Candyland,
yes,
and the Arches,
and Kodachrome. And
Yeah.
have you ever seen
Yeah.
Kodachrome State Park?
Yeah.
And it's like, go to Kodachrome if you don't want any connection with the outside world, because you won't have it. There's no cell service. There's no phone. There's nothing.
not a lot of people there.
Yeah.
Either.
And so it's really nice, and it has its little hiking trails and story behind it. And then we went to Antelope Island in Salt Lake City, and herds of bison that managed to stay on this little island. I agree with you. I absolutely love
Utah's
Utah.
beautiful.
And my other favorite would be Wyoming.
Wyoming.
I love
I went through Wyoming. I went to Devil's Tower in Wyoming.
Oh, we went there too.
Yeah. I stayed at a KOA there.
We sure did too, right at the gate. And funny story is, we were gonna stay at the campground there, but it was closed for the season, which they have nowhere on the website that is closed for the season. And we showed up there, and they were like, it's not open.
The KOA is pretty big, though.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we happened to stay there, and they closed their office like at 3, so nobody was there. She was like, just find a space to pay tomorrow. And I was like, okay, cool. So, yes, we've stayed at that same KOA.
And I just drove through the rest of Wyoming. I don't think I stopped anywhere else in Wyoming.
Okay, so make sure you go to Jackson Hole, because it's got the Grand Tetons there.
Yeah, I want to see the Grand Tetons, and I want to see Yellowstone.
You
have
to see the Grand Tetons.
Really
It is one of those mountains that is so breathtaking that when you come around the corner, the views just don't stop. They are huge, majestic, snow-covered mountains, and you can even hike in them, and there's waterfalls along the hike.
Oh, wow.
It is absolutely gorgeous. We took that. We did a video, because you take it's like a ferry, and you take the boat over to the other side, cross Jenny Lake, and then you get to the mountains, and then there's an 8-mile hike where you can go up, or you can go up to the half a quarter mile, and then a mile up, and then so the quarter mile is where the first waterfall is.
Okay.
And then you go up to another mile, and then there's another waterfall, and the whole walk is pictures. It is absolutely beautiful.
I would say it's probably for me, it's probably one of the best scenic places that I've been.
Oh, wow.
Because we've been 2 different times of the year. The first time was in June, so there were still snow-capped mountains which were beautiful, and the greenery of just lush forest at the bottom. So everything was out, animals. It was just the most amazing thing that I've seen. But then after that, we came back on the way here, and it was all snowed in.
And it was a snow that's not Arctic. When you think cold in Wyoming, you would think, "Ooh, this is frigid." But it was cold. It was cold, but it wasn't like North Pole cold.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense. And it still has snow everywhere.
Yeah.
But snow on the ground that looked like.
Let me stop my phone. Sorry.
Okay.
Go on.
Snow on the ground that looked like it has not been touched.
Oh wow.
And it looked powdered, like the soft powder snow. And it was just absolutely gorgeous.
Even in some places, I think when we were trying to hike to Jenny Lake to go and see it, they said it was waist deep.
Yes, up there.
And it was.
And they were like, don't go any further because there's a
was
bear
waist deep.
and a cub a little further up. And the cub was in the tree and the bear was like right by it. And there's like, don't go any further. There's a cub.
That's
in the
what
tree,
freaks
there's a
me out the
bear.
most in these states is those bears. I have bear spray on my Jeep, so.
Yeah, that and the cougars. Apparently there's cougars
this is
all
the
time.
first state that I've been in where I was warned about cougars.
We had a problem
First
with
state.
cougars in California. In San Diego, there's cougars
I
running
came
around
from
out
California and I didn't hear about cougars there, but I'm like, oh, okay. So now I have to worry about cougars and bears. And then I'm going to Washington and I guess they have grizzly bears in Washington.
Isn't that awesome?
Yeah, the most dangerous bear in the world. I stayed at Umpqua National Forest, and that's where I saw the black bear signs and cougar signs.
Right.
And I see the bear boxes everywhere, but the campground that I'm staying in didn't have any bear boxes. And I'm like, why is there no bear boxes here? And she's like, well, there's only been one, the camp host, she's like, there's only been one bear sighting in the last 6 months. I said, well, that's one too many.
Okay,
and I
you
was
guys.
like, I live in my Jeep. I was like, I have food in my Jeep. I was like, now I'm going to have to like bear proof my Jeep somehow. So.
Train time.
So yeah.
Perfect timing. For train. Right out.
My hard cases that are up there, I had to put like my dry food. I would put them in my hard cases up there. And yeah, I couldn't believe they didn't have bear boxes. So I'm used to coyotes. I'm used to mountain lions. I've come up to plenty of coyotes and mountain lions. And
You can go ahead on and start it back, honey. Oh, okay. I was saying you can't hear it. You can't. It's not as bad. If you can't tell, we're currently living
by a train
steps away from a train track, and this train runs when it feels like it. Okay, so that could be 1 in the morning, again at 3 in the morning, 6 in the morning, or it could be not at all. So you'll have to excuse the background ambiance. Okay, so I know that it feels like we're hogging the conversation because we're good at that. But we want to hear about you as far as, okay, what did you see in Utah that made that your favorite? Or why is South Dakota your favorite? Because I don't mind going back to South Dakota.
I'm actually going back to South Dakota.
All right.
So, yeah.
We stayed at Vermilion.
Vermilion Cliffs?
Yes.
Yeah.
Vermilion State Park.
Oh.
And it's got a lake, and it's absolutely beautiful.
Okay.
And it's beautiful, and it's really, really
I'll have
nice.
to look that up. Vermilion Cliffs is in Utah, actually.
Yeah.
So.
And so this one is right outside of Sioux Falls.
Okay.
About 20 miles outside of Sioux Falls.
So southern.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So it was really, really, really nice.
I stayed in right out there by Sturgis.
We didn't make
That's
it through
where we went.
Sturgis. We went a different way when we left.
Sturgis and Piedmont.
I wouldn't
That's
say
what it was.
Des Moines, but that's not right. What was that city we went through that was right outside of Mount Rushmore? The one we stopped?
I went through Mount Rushmore. too,
Yes.
Yeah.
We went the other way. We went like the back way into Wyoming instead of around through Sturgis. So, we
I'm not
missed that.
sure. Actually, that was our first time going to Mount Rushmore too. And so we didn't. A lot of places that we go, if we stay like we have been here, then I can get to know different areas. But we kind of just passed through that one. But it was nice. It was very nice.
It's one of those things where you walk up and say, "Yep, there they are." Everybody back to the car.
Oh, let me get the picture. Hold on.
You don't even have to walk in the pillars.
Exactly.
And it's $10 to park and 5 seconds to get the picture. But it's definitely one of those places. It's like, yep, there they go. All 4 of them still there.
I don't even think. I think I've tried to do a video of that, and I didn't even have enough footage to do a whole video of it, so I just combined it with something else. So.
I just draw it out. And so the purpose of the channel is just, I know a lot of times people vlog life on the road, but I guess one of the drawbacks of that for me is that I'm not consistent enough to, or don't recognize moments that I could use as footage, right? So I usually just vlog where we've been or where we're going or what we're doing that day and say, hey, if you're out, these are things you can do. And a lot of times I got into wanting to do blogs and stuff like that because of course I'm a woman of size, and a lot of times when we used to take vacation with the kids, I was at the end of the ride holding the bags while everybody else was having fun on the roller coaster. So it was like I wanted to start showing people that yes, we can get out and have some fun and do things and explore things and go hiking and fit through gorges that we probably shouldn't be squeezing through, and and just enjoying life at whatever size you are, and I think a lot of times
our age,
it holds people back because they become afraid, right? They're like scared to go do that or scared to go do this, or they don't think they'll fit in this and that. I can tell you, hiking through Cathedral Gorge, it was a lot of fun. But it is a lot of squeezing too, and a lot of bending over. And it's one of those things that you feel a sense of accomplishment when you come out, or when you're hiking through the Tetons and you have a lady that's 80 years old telling you, you can do it, just keep going. And you're like, oh, thanks. And it's one of those sense of a fulfillment that, you know what? I can have quality of life, and there's a lot of things that I can do and I can be out here to do, and a lot of that was kind of just proven to self, and getting out there and doing things. So I'm pretty adventurous,
and you get to see so much.
Yes. And behind my camera, I wander off. I love photography. That is my therapy. It forces me to find beautiful things and focus on something else other than whatever it is.
That's my number one passion is nature photography.
Yes, that's my
number one passion is nature photography. And then I do the videos.
Yes, that and architecture. I like old buildings. I like flowers, landscapes, stuff like that. So it really is a therapeutic world. You start to kind of find it.
Oh yeah. Yes, it is.
So do you think you'll do this long term? Is this it? Is this your retirement plan?
I mean, I'm sure there's going to be a time that's going to come where I'm going to get a little burned out and want to stop and take a break. Because I'm doing this full time. I don't have to, I used to stop and pick up seasonal jobs and everything, but now I'm blessed to be able to actually just be able to do this full time now. And that's with my social media and sponsors and stuff like that. So
that's awesome.
But I know that there is going to be a time that I'm going to go through that little burned out phase, and when that time comes, I will stop, take a break. My aunt lives in Texas, so she's always said that if I need to come take a break there, I can come take a break for like a month or two, and then get back on the road. But my main goal is to open up a off-grid campground. So I've already been looking at land in Arizona, because land in Arizona is really, really cheap.
You looked at New Mexico.
Yeah, New Mexico's cheap too.
Yeah.
But the land laws and everything in Arizona are pretty laid back also, because some of these land laws in some of these states, you can't have RVs on your land. or if you buy the land, you have to start building right away.
Yeah,
You know, so, but Arizona is like probably one of the easiest states to get land in. And so my goal is to build a off-grid campground, and I want to do different styles of camping. Like I'd like to have a van converted on there, rent that out, an RV converted, rent that out, a yurt, even a Jeep, because that's my thing. And you know, just every type of way that you can camp or glamp or whatever. A school bus, I want to get a school bus and have that on there too. So that's my main goal, is to have the off-grid campground, and that'll be my retirement.
Awesome. That sounds awesome.
So that'll be my retirement plan. And then also I don't know if I told you, I know I told you, me doing the public speaking events. So that's another goal of mine too, is just keep traveling and doing public speaking events in some of these places that I go and travel. Not everywhere, because I don't want the public speaking thing to consume everything that I'm doing.
Right.
I want to still, because every day I'm still working on myself, you know, like, and I'll probably still be working on myself till the day that I die, you know. But I don't want the public speaking to consume and that be everything that I'm doing, because I still want to go and enjoy nature and do all this stuff on my own and everything. So,
and the ironic part is the public speaking comes because you continue to do what you're doing, and people are very curious. They want to know, how did you get into it? Why did you get into it? Would you stay in it? You know, the ins and outs of it. And it really is to each his own, right? You know, because we're in the camper and you're in the van, and you know, a lot of people do it different ways. But all I can say is that I found freedom, right? I really did find freedom that is therapeutic for me, right? And so I enjoy it. And like I said, it's work, you know, because you still got to keep going. And we love to travel, but you still need gas, right? So you can keep going. And
especially over here on the West Coast.
Yes, oh my goodness, it's like almost $5.
God, California killed me.
and then one of those things that, you know, we've learned, boondocking. So that I love to do that in Utah, because it's like all over the place. You can pretty much kind of survive if you learn. If you learn how to do boondocking. And so there are ways to live. Almost, I'm going to say rent-free, because one of the keys to RVing is owning the RV, right? So when you are having to work camp, or you're having to pick up a gig here and there, that's gas money to keep going. If you leave with a lot of overhead and bills, and you got to pay for the house and pay for the truck, it's not really freedom, because you're leaving one job to go to another job to make your financial obligations. But when you can own the home, right? And that's why people buy whatever's in somebody's yard and renovate it and make it home. When you can own the home, when you work, you have a different spirit to it, because you're not working to give it away. You can save it, and you can plan, and you can have a life outside of it. And if you're frugal enough and you're staying in places where it's van and RV friendly, you can live off of that. And you can live off of little or nothing if you are willing to, you know, do certain things. And so
it's all about being minimalist.
Yes. And you can have things. We're not saying that you can't.
Right.
We're just saying there's a freedom in not being tied down to a lot of things, right? And so, do we miss the kids? Absolutely. You know, but when we go back home, they're in their 20s now, so their world doesn't revolve around us. It revolves around friends and girlfriends and stuff like that. So we love the time we get a chance to spend with them, because we usually go home for the holidays. So we're there Thanksgiving and Christmas.
And thank goodness for technology.
Yes.
I'm sure that you guys get to FaceTime them and stuff.
Then,
you know, so
they want to come out and visit, and so we get a chance to, you know, meet up somewhere or do something together. And so I am so thankful that you parked right across from us, and we got a chance to kind of just meet and share each other's experiences and stories, and live kind of vicarious through each other's experience, because I know that there's probably so much more we didn't even talk about, you know. But we made dinner.
Yeah.
So we got to eat.
Okay,
Yummy.
real quick. I just got one question that I want to ask Miss Sarah here, because a few months before we arrived here, I follow a channel. Shout out to Cheap RV Living. I watched this gentleman interview a lot of people, and they all have just amazing stories about how they got started. And so I would like to ask, because it is an honor to be sitting here with you.
Oh.
What would you say to somebody that, and I'm sure you probably get this all the time, that want to get into this type of lifestyle? Like, what would be your main thing that you would?
It's funny. I just did a video on this, actually.
So check out Sarah's channel for the answer.
Sure.
No. I mean, just a real quick. So I get overly excited that I have made this work.
Right.
Like, I had so many doubts in the beginning. Like I said, I gave up a 10-year career that I was making great money, you know, doing and stuff. And there were so many doubts. Oh God, am I going to go back to Vegas within a year and ask for my job back, you know? Or I'm sure my owners thought I was coming back to ask for my job back. So me, I get very excited that I made this work and I'm doing it. So when I meet other people and they start asking me questions and they want to know how I did it, I get so excited to share with them how they can do it too.
Right.
So like, for example, I had to stay in a hotel one time, and when I was staying in the hotel, the cleaning ladies saw my YouTube channel on my Jeep, and so they started talking to me about my YouTube channel. And so I started telling them what I was doing and everything, and they're like, how do you do that? And I'm like, well, you too can do it also.
Right.
And I literally sat out there for like 30 minutes talking to them on how they could do it too. But there's ways. I mean, like me and her were just talking earlier, this lifestyle isn't for everybody. It really isn't, you know. But I mean, if you want to get into this lifestyle, there's so many ways that you can do it. I mean, there's work camping jobs. That's the first thing, is the work camping jobs.
Yeah.
Tons of work camping jobs.
And
there's
let's
not
just say it is work.
Yeah. It's not just
work.
KOAs or, you know, other established campgrounds like that, state parks or whatever. There is actually plenty of web pages. Just Google work camping. That's all you gotta do. Google work camping, and there's so many websites. And you can get seasonal jobs. A lot of these work camping positions, you get to go stay there for free and get a paycheck. You live there for free and get a paycheck. You don't have electricity to pay for, gas, water, rent.
And that's where coming in, owning your rig is huge.
Yes.
Because that becomes like your savings. So when you pull out, you're pulling out with a little bank. You know, and so you can kind of plan your adventure. Now you're the tourist, right? And if you are frugal enough to where you can plan out, you can live off of that through the winter. Like you said, you go to Florida and be a camp host and sit on your money. You got a free place to stay, and you're pretty much raking the sand so the next person can back on in and clean a fire pit and hose down the bathroom, and you're good to go. And
I mean,
I totally
there's
agree.
so many ways. I mean, like you can go, we'll just say South Dakota. You can go to South Dakota and work a winter season there. Well, don't go there during the winter. You can go there and work a summer season job. And while you're there working the summer season job and living on the property for free with no bills, save. Save up money. And then after that seasonal job's over with, all that money that you just saved, if you don't want to go to another seasonal job, take some time off and go explore and travel. Then go get you another seasonal job. Or if you don't feel like staying at these places for 5 months or 6 months working seasonal jobs, there's places you can go to and work just a couple of weeks. Amazon Workforce. That's a huge thing with travelers.
October,
beet harvest.
California does the pumpkins, and then they do the Christmas trees.
Yes.
And you can work a month, and you'll work like a dog, but you'll leave with some money.
Disney as well.
Yeah.
Disney also does work campers. And you said Amazon already, so we found that out.
And Amazon, I heard, is pretty rough and pretty hard also.
I can believe it.
Yeah, because it's the holidays.
But it pays very well, and they also give you money to go towards the campground that you're staying at.
Yeah, stipend.
Yeah.
A stipend to live off of.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yep.
That's awesome.
But I heard that Amazon pays very, very well though.
So
But yeah, there's plenty of ways, I mean, to do this. You just gotta do a lot of research. YouTube is a good thing to do research on.
It can be done.
It can be done.
Right.
Definitely can be done.
Can be done.
I mean, we're all three of us are living proof right
Yes,
here.
it
So
is. Yes, we are.
yeah.
And you know what? And you meet people along the way, and everybody wants to help everybody. You know, so you get out there and you realize. I remember our first time out, a gentleman watched us back in, and he told Cedric, "You look like you've done that before." And before we left, he was like, "Hey, you guys are going to need this, and you're going to need that, and hey, you need to go ahead and take this with you." And we're a community, you know, just like you live in a neighborhood and you know your neighbors. Our neighbors are temporary, but we get to know them, and it's such a small world. You see people again, you know, and
I still have things that people have given me as well, just out of sheer memory of those people. The barbecue grill that I was cooking on, a gentleman gave me that because I took his trash one morning.
Oh wow.
Doing a KOA job.
Wow.
And I just asked him, you know, hey, you want me to take your trash so you don't have to walk all the way up there? He was like, really? Would you do that? I was like, yeah. I mean, anything to make your stay better. And that's what I like about these places, the work camping places, because you do get to meet people. You get to be on the opposite side of the spectrum of, you know, taking care of them. And when we go to places too, one of the guys asked me, he was like, when you go camp anywhere you go, is the place nice? And I'm like, 9 times out of 10 it is. And he was like, well, somebody has to do that. And it gave me a different outlook as far as, you know, how I treated where I worked. So it became more important to me to, you know, treat people the way I wanted to be treated. And so working at the campground just became something great for myself personally. But I do try to keep up with some things because they remind me of the people, and we do keep in touch with a lot of people.
Oh, that's awesome.
we do.
Awesome.
We've met a lot of friends.
Oh, well, then you guys can keep in touch with me.
Absolutely.
Sure.
This is a done deal. You don't know it, but we probably got bestie tattoos somewhere. We'll never tell. But anyway, Sarah, we won't draw this video out because
we're hungry.
We could.
Food.
So we want to thank you so much for watching this video. You never know where we're going to end up. Today we are hanging out with Sarah. Sarah, give us your shout out to your YouTube channel again so they can find us.
It's Wandering Jeepsy. So it's JEEPSY.
And we're going to put a link to her in the description and a kickback to you can check out her videos because you probably already know who she is. I just found out a couple days ago, so
Here we go. I brought
There
this
you
over
go.
for them. So
woohoo!
there we go.
Take a picture of it, screenshot it. We got it. Thank you so much. Yay! I'm so excited.
And the
Thank
crazy
you.
part about it is I've seen these stickers in more places than just YouTube.
Oh,
On other people's things or rigs. And when I first saw your channel and I saw you talking about the stickers, I was like, man, I want one of those.
Bam! You got one.
It's like a dream come true.
All right, you guys, for real this time, we're going to end this video. Thank you so much for Sarah
thank
for
you.
taking some time out of your day to spend the evening with us, and we're going to go and eat some vittles, and we're going to carry on our conversation a little bit more, but we want to thank you guys for hanging out with us for as long as you did and listening to our stories, listening to Sarah's journey. She is awesome. You probably already follow her. If you don't, go and do that because it's important. Hit that notification bell and that subscription button if you have not yet, and hit all because you want to check out everything we're all doing because we want to see you out on the road. Thanks again so much for watching, and we will see you in our next video. Bye guys.
bye.